Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be spoiling my second and final card from the upcoming Foundation set. So, let's get into it. I want to kick this off by thanking Webcore for once again including me in the spoiler season. Thank you guys. I really appreciate this. My second card that I get to spoil is Wilt-Leaf Liege. This is an 18 mana 4/4. It's a dual color creature. It is both white and green. It is an elf knight and has, at the beginning of your turn, your other green creatures get a permanent +1/+1 buff, and your other white creatures get a permanent +1/+1 buff. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, create an elf warrior token and reinforce it X times, equal to the total power of creatures you control. This card is, I think, fairly simple in essence. Basically, you've got a critter that's going to come down. It's going to buff your other creatures. It's going to create elf warrior tokens upon leaving the battlefield. And if you have a way of making this leave and re-enter the battlefield, it's going to potentially have a lot of power. So if you just play it in like a normal deck, then it's just going to be in 18 mana 4/4 that's going to buff up your other critters periodically. And then when your opponent ultimately kills it, you're going to wind up getting the elf warrior stack. For that matter, the elf warrior stack is going to be these 1/1 mono green tokens. This is by design, I asked. I was wondering just because the card says at the beginning of your turn your other green creatures get the boost, but so do your other white creatures. So I was kind of hoping that this would be a card that would be both green and white, but it's not. That said, getting an additional +1/+1 every turn is a small thing to be looking for when you're looking at the ultimate power of this card. I could see this pairing really well with the most recent Nico, because Nico is going to activate 2 gems that will enable you to flicker a card. And I think that as we get more flicker effects, this card could wind up becoming more powerful, as it really looks like it is designed to pair really well with flicker. Because it is when it leaves the battlefield, that means that exile or destroy or returning to your hand will all work. And so you could do something where you bring it back to your hand and then recast it, and bring it back to your hand and recast it, and that would work as well. I'm sure there are a lot of synergies that I didn't mention other than Nico. There are definitely going to be some of those bring it back to your hand and recast it effects that you could use. I would love to hear about some of those from you guys and what you think would be some really good pairings for the Wilt-Leaf Liege. What decks would you put this in? What would you want to try it out with? I think this would be really useful for a objective where you need to create X or more elf tokens or warrior tokens, or if you need to cast some number of knights, you could go ahead and throw this in. I think there's better knights that you could use, honestly, in general. But as for making a mass quantity of elves, there's no doubt that this will be able to do that if you're running a deck with a bunch of creatures that have a reasonable amount of power. And as this is in part green, I think there's definitely a lot of room for that with this card. So that's what I have for you for my second and final spoiler from the Foundation set. I hope you've checked out some of the other creators' Foundation spoilers. Gauze has got a few, Main Loop's got a few, and Planeswalker Coach, aka Paladin Robin, has got a few. So go ahead and check out all the spoilers, support the community. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.